Welcome to Warchant TV. I'm Gene Williams, founder of Warchant.com. I'm joined by managing editor Ira Schofel. Even though he's on the DL, we kept him off the pup list, so he's ready to roll today. And but we got some big stuff to talk about here, Ira. Man, you had a story up Monday. I don't know when you're watching this. You can still watch it. It's on Warchant.com about the college football season is still breathing, but for how long? And just it seems like we've had 20 variations since that story came out with what's going on with everything in the Big Ten. I guess, first of all, just kind of, I mean, as of we're recording this, and by the time this airs, something could have changed. But I guess the last thing was Dennis Dodd of CBS Sports Line had, a quote from an ACC administrator after their meetings on Monday that they absolutely plan to play football this fall. But anything else you can kind of bring us up to date on, Ira, with what's going on right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, it's encouraging for sure, and that was really what I originally was going to write Sunday night before everything kind of went crazy with the players, Trevor Lawrence and all those guys going on social media, was basically kind of not imploring the ACC to stick to their guns, but from what we were hearing over the weekend was that the ACC was committed to playing, and that the SEC was committed to playing, and that all the Power Five school conferences were basically committed to playing until the Big Ten basically decided on Saturday that they wanted to maybe suspend things and go to the spring. And my only concern there was, if the ACC felt like they couldn't play, they couldn't do this safely, then that's fine. Go ahead and stop things, but don't just do it because of optics. Don't. My feeling was the ACC shouldn't just make a decision based on what the Big Ten is doing. And from everything we're hearing so far, it sounds like these other conferences are at least going to consider sticking to their previous plans. And even the Big Ten, which there was a report early Monday that they had pulled out. Later, there's been reports that they haven't taken a vote, and they may not till tomorrow. So we'll see what happens with the Big Ten. But at least for now, it looks like the ACC, the SEC, maybe even the Big 12. It's hard to say about the Pac-12. I think most people expect they'll follow the Big Ten's lead, but these two or three other conferences might kind of do what they want to do.
Now, the heart of your story was really talking about kind of the players organizing a little bit more, and it really started out with the Pac-12, and it was over the top, some of the demands, and they've come down more and more reasonable. And I know there was, when we had the "we want to play," then this came out where there were some demands put out by the players, and I think those maybe even gone down even a little bit more since then. So you got to wonder if there's some dialogue going on somewhere here. But just kind of bring us up, what's at the crux of this matter? What are the players wanting from college football, the reasonable demands, and what kind of challenges could those present to conferences and presidents?
Well, I think there's a bunch of different things happening here all at the same time that have kind of led us to this point. We had the the name, image, and likeness, which has been going on for the last few years, where college athletes want to be able to profit off of their name, their image, or their likeness, and we've seen that the NCAA is making steps to get to that point. They've also the Power Five conferences started giving stipends the last few years, where they're starting to give players extra money for to be able to go out or buy meals or buy clothes, things like that beyond their scholarship allotment. So there's been this trend towards trying to give more to the athletes. Well, some of the athletes want more than that, and we saw that with the Pac-12. They want more compensation, but it was just such a weird time for them to come into it, for them to make those demands. My guess is that there's some people in the industry who are trying to, I don't know if it's profit off of these young people or give them guidance, but I think it's misguided guidance, and kind of encourage them in the Pac-12 to make their demands, their list of demands. And one of their demands was like 50% of all revenue at a time when, I mean, none of us are against college athletes maybe getting compensated in some way, whether it's now or when their playing careers are over, figuring out something. But 50% of the revenue at a time when, with this pandemic, none of these athletic departments are sure they're going to be able to keep their lights on in a month or two. I mean, this is such a dire situation right now. So to have that discussion right then, I think was a mistake. And the Pac-12 basically dismissed them. Just wouldn't even basically talk. I mean, when the commissioner of the Pac-12 talked to them, they got offended because he didn't take their demands seriously. Then you move to the Big Ten. The Big Ten players come out with their demands last week. They were kind of a little bit less. They were mostly focused on health and well-being, especially during COVID, which is understandable. But what happened late Sunday night, and as I mentioned, I kind of ended up changing my column, was now it went from a conference issue to now all 5 conferences had players representing those conferences. Now, again, they're not formally representing the conferences, but you're talking about some of the biggest names in college football. Trevor Lawrence at Clemson, the quarterback at Ohio State. I mean, really some of the best players at every school, from Alabama, Texas A&M, Texas, Oregon. I mean, players all around the country banding together for this new set of demands. And my concern, really is and was that with everything else going on and the Big Ten threatening to cancel and these other conferences kind of wavering, now you add this to the mix and you have all these marquee players making this push. You just wonder if it was going to be too much. And, we'll see how it plays out. But it seems like today, as the day has gone on Monday, that, as you said, maybe the players' demands are kind of backing off a little bit. And it seems like everybody's unified in wanting to play.
Yeah, and like you said, some of the stuff of this is timing is everything. The timing, the players may think the timing is good for this, but it really isn't. Especially, like, I think one of the demands of the Pac-12, if I'm not mistaken, is they wanted no cutting of sports.
Right.
You want all this money at the same point, and when athletic departments are losing money, then you want them to keep all the sports on. Some of the stuff's just not financially feasible at all. And by the way, we're talking about finances. The little stray off here. I know underneath me there's a thing that says promo code Warchant30. Ignore that from right now. I'm telling you, until Friday, we got a great deal going on if you want to get on the Warchant while practices are going on. And like I said, it looks like for now the ACC's planning to go ahead with football. We got a great deal at warchant.com for the next couple days. The code is Norvell 2020. Get you 25% off your subscription price, $25 e-card to Garnet Gold, and I'm going to throw in 3 free months. That's like an $80 value. So, I mean, you're only spending whatever it is, 70-something bucks on it. You're getting $80 value. So it's a great deal. You get in time for all this stuff going on with Florida State. So you jump right in. That ends Friday. So don't. I invariably that next Monday get an email like, can I still get in on that special? Every time somebody does it again. We run out of those e-cards, so we can't. We got to cut it off at some point. So get in there by Friday. So, I mean, it looks like for now, at least, maybe this will be delayed. So it looks like practice for Florida State is scheduled on Tuesday morning again. So we will have those interviews here. I mean, just one last thing, getting back to all these players. What do you think would be a reasonable? I mean, if you were sitting there, you're Thrasher, you're one of these players, and you're negotiating, like, what is a good middle ground that's feasible maybe for this year? I think a lot of these bigger union type issues, it's something like I would sit there and go, look, all that's going on. You want to play. You're some serious issues. Let's deal with what we can deal with now, and then we'll pick this up in the spring. But, I mean, at this point, what are some feasible things you think? Is it mostly focused on the medical, the testing, that kind of thing?
Well, I think to start off with, I think the two really tough ones, the two things that they're probably not going to be able to get resolved anytime right away is, one, they want to look towards the planning or the creation of a college football players association, basically like the NBA Players Association or the NFL Players Association, those unions. I mean, obviously that's not something that's going to be done right away, but I think if you look in their wording, they said eventually. So I think the players understand this is something that can't be done right away. They just want to know that this is something we could talk about. Now, you're an attorney, Gene. You went to law school. You can explain to people. We don't need to go into it here, but there's a lot of reasons legally it would be very difficult to maybe impossible for college athletes to start a union. But that is something that they want to be heard. So I think that's something that colleges can say, okay, we'll talk to you about that and maybe explain to you why that's going to be difficult. The other one, they want insurances about eligibility. And this is, man, I totally get where the players are coming from here, because right now the concern is if you decide you're going to play this season and then 3 or 4 or 5 games in, the season gets canceled, they want to know they're not going to lose their year of eligibility. Mm-hmm. Or if they opt out, if they decide to sit out this year because of the COVID-19, they want to know they're not going to lose this year of eligibility. That's going to be a tough one. We saw it in the spring. The NCAA allowed schools to preserve that year of eligibility for those winter sports, for the spring sports. But the problem is you got to pay for it. So now for a football team that's got 85 kids on scholarship, if you're going to extend this year of eligibility for all those kids at a time when these colleges are already really in the red because of what's going on, it's a big ask. So but I also get why the players want it.
Yeah.
So it's understandable.
It's reasonable. Yeah, I think what you're saying is completely reasonable. I'm a player. I want that protection in place. It's not fair to me if we play 2 games, you call the season. Well, sorry, you're a senior. You're done.
Yep.
You're out of school. But at the same point, like you said, this isn't going to stop. The recruiting process doesn't stop.
Exactly.
So there's still going to be a signing day, and you're going to have players enrolling in January and next fall. So, I mean, you're at 85 scholarships. 15 guys want to stay behind, and then you got to bring in a signing class. Suddenly you're at 100 scholarships. That's, first of all, the NCAA would have to change the rules completely to allow this. Then, I don't know what, I'm sure it's whatever it costs per player. You may know this, you may have heard it before. What does it cost for like a scholarship football player per one? What's it cost the school?
I mean, I think it's 40 to 50,000. I'm not exactly sure, but it's a significant amount of money.
Let's say we go 100 scholarships, multiply that by 15. And right now, when a athletic department is losing millions and millions of dollars, and you got to throw in another couple $1 million charge on top of it, it's a very difficult situation. I would not want to be. Wouldn't want to be John Swafford. I would not want to be a university president right now dealing with all this stuff. I mean, it does. Go ahead, Ira.
Well, I was going to say, so those are going to be hard to solve, but at least I think if the NCAA or if the conferences say we're going to work with you on those, we're going to we hear you, we're going to try to figure out a solution. I think maybe that's something that they could just table for now and accept it. I mean, I'm assuming because it's not going to get done. I mean, if the players insist those things have to get done, they will not end up playing. The other ones are more about the testing. They want uniform testing. They want some assurances of things like that, which I think everybody's behind in, and I think the schools would agree with. So to me, these demands are not crazy. They're not outlandish. Just one or two of them will be hard to pull off in a short amount of time.
Well, I do like you, unlike the Pac-12, there wasn't like an ultimatum. Like you said, it seems like they want to open the discussion, which I think is absolutely fair. So hopefully cooler heads will prevail and some people will be intelligent about this and discuss it and work it out. And we'll be able to, a month from now, Ira, we'll be talking about how FSU was playing against Georgia Tech, how the game went, everything else. It'd be a wonderful time. Hey, before we get off, I want to remind everybody down under Ira, you see that subscribe button on not only the subscription to Warchant. What you can subscribe for free to YouTube and get events like this. We got Wake Up Warchant's live show going tonight. Michael Langston's going to have a recruiting chat. We can get all the recruiting scoop on Florida State. That's Wednesday nights, and you get alerted to all that stuff. And all the player interviews with Mike Norvell, hopefully again later today or tomorrow, whenever that comes up. So go ahead and do that. Subscribe and hit that thumbs up button underneath. That really helps us out a lot. So Ira, good work, man. Get to dinner, heal up. I know you had to play injured today. We appreciate you taking one for the team, buddy.
I appreciate it. Next time I'll try to cover up my whole face, and then people will be happier.
You do the profile next time. You just stand like that.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good one, Ira.
Thanks.